Hi, my name is Michael McClung with Marietta Mentoring for Leadership. We're putting together a series of videos just covering topics that will help in this process of developing a mentor-mentee relationship with our organization. So we hope that you find these interesting and informative, and we also hope that you'll use these in your new mentor support groups that we're putting together by grade. And hopefully you can just take these topics and discuss them and help each other out and grow through them. But when we start at the beginning, what it means to be a mentor, I think we have to ask ourselves the question whether we've been a mentor for a year or if this is our 8th or 10th year. Why am I a mentor is a great place to start. It's a great place to go back to in order to make sure that you know what's motivating you. Why are you in this relationship and why are you part of this organization? Because I think that when you do that, you'll find that maybe your expectations for your relationship and really your approach to how things are going might need to be adjusted a little bit. So if we back up to why am I a mentor, I think we all come at it from very similar thoughts, right? I think we all have seen the movies and we've read the books. And maybe even in our own life, we've had a mentor. So we want to make a difference in this student's life. We want to show them something. We want to teach them something. We have something to share. And we want to give them something like maybe we had in a relationship with a mentor at some point in our lives. So we come at this from similar ideas, and then we develop expectations through that. I really just, when I remember when I first joined Marietta Mentoring for Leadership, I had these thoughts of meeting this kid that was just going to need me and going to listen to me and always going to come to me for advice. And we were going to do great things together. And then they were going to graduate and become this great, awesome professional person and do all these great things because they met me and I mentored them. And, I don't think any of us have that laid out quite that way, but we have some similar thoughts that it's all going to work out and they're going to love us. They're going to want to be around us and enjoy their time with us. And the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? It takes time to develop these relationships, and sometimes they push back and sometimes they don't want to spend the time with them that we had hoped, or they're not open to our suggestions like we had hoped. And so we back up and say, why am I a mentor? And what are my expectations in this relationship? And I think because of that, a lot of times our expectation is that they will have fun and that they'll enjoy it and they'll learn from it. But unfortunately, we take that a step too far, and pretty soon in the relationship, we start thinking about things like what's fun to them. What would they want to do? How can I entertain them? How can I impress them? How can I make sure they're having a good time or learning what they want to learn? And unfortunately, when we're so mentee focused, a lot of times we don't see our greatest strengths, and what we've brought to the relationship from the very beginning is actually what's needed. So I would remind you that some of the best mentors that I've had in my life, that I've read about, that I've seen, and you know this too, the best mentors come from a position of strength. What do I have to share with this person? What do I have to invest in this person? That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in this relationship. And so I learned that very quickly with Gerald McCoy. It's been 4.5 years now, this month, that Gerald and I were matched together his 8th grade year. And I just thought, man, he's going to like me. We're going to have a great time. And then at the same time, I was really nervous and wondering, what should we do? What's he going to want to do? I haven't been around a teenage boy in years. My girls, I had 3 girls. So I didn't really know how to approach this. And initially, I was all about, what do you want to do? What would be fun? And he didn't know. He didn't know how to answer that question necessarily to a stranger. So we just kind of floundered for a little while until I finally just said, you know what? I've got things I need to share with him. I've got experiences I want to give him and teach him some things and instruct him. And so I backed up and asked myself these questions of why am I doing this? And what do I have to give this young man? And so from that point on, we basically made a plan to be intentional. people often ask an eighth grader what they're going to do when they grow up, where they're going to go to college, what they're interested in. And these kids now are so hardwired to that question. They just respond, I want to be a cop. I want to be an astronaut. I want to, whatever, an attorney, a real estate agent, whatever it is that they've seen the most recent Netflix show about is what they want to be, right? And so I told Gerald, I said, I'm not going to ask you that question. What we're going to do is go and interview people. We're going to go meet interesting and successful people, and I'm going to teach you some skills that I was taught. And through all that, hopefully you can narrow down some interests that you think you might have going forward. So we spent 2 years starting with my network. We went to the Crimes Against Persons unit for Cobb County, and then we went to KSU in the forensic lab there. He interviewed some of my colleagues and just he began to learn how to talk to people in that way, how to dress appropriately, how to respond to questions, how to ask good questions, how to control the conversation, all those things that I was taught over the years. I just began to invest in Gerald, and man, he just really responded to that. And he thought he wanted to be in law enforcement, but very quickly after meeting some of these people and after seeing how this career field works and how that world works, he pretty quickly said, actually, I don't want to do that. So we just kept working through that. We kept interviewing people, going to interview people. We went and interviewed Roy Barnes and just sat with him. And, for Gerald to control a conversation with Roy Barnes for 40 minutes was pretty amazing. The guy just did such a great job. And he just learned those skills. And that's when I figured out and learned that this relationship, I need to bring my best to the table. And so the last 2 years, these past couple of years, we've spent more time actually spending time here with my family. He's become more a part of our family and more comfortable here. He's interviewed my friends. He's learned to sit down with adults and just have conversations about what do you do for a living and how did you get into that and what do you love about it and what do you not like about it. And so we've just spent a lot of time with him learning how to talk to people, how to build these relationships. And it's just been so rewarding for him and getting ready now to graduate. So when you think about being a mentor and you're focused more on yourself than on the student, when you back up for a minute and think that way, you ask yourself really 3 questions. What are my expectations for this relationship? What is it that I'd like to invest in this student? What is it that I'd like to help them with? What they need, but what am I best equipped to help them with? And some of our students have very serious, home life issues and challenges and that need to be approached from a different way. And maybe where you're at with your student is not really focused on college right now. It's focused on technical school or all the things. I won't fill in the blanks. You get the point. What are your expectations for this relationship with this student? And I think you setting that rather than them is very important. And so next, then you have to start thinking about my approach to this relationship, knowing what my expectation is, what my goals are, what my plan is. I need to figure out my approach to that. And I've broken down this in 3 ways. Gerald and I have a relational piece to our friendship, and we also have an instructional side, and then there's been the experiential side. And so I built the relationship first. We started, we go once, most of the time twice a month. We go to dinner, sit down. I have questions for Gerald, of course, and I'm real careful about how I ask them. And I always start with sharing. I always start with talking about me and some challenges I've had, successes I've had. I try to be vulnerable with him when I can. I try to be transparent with him when I can so that he can learn that in friendships, that's what you do. And so it's a safe place for him to share with me. And that has enabled him to open up to me, which is not real easy for a guy his age. So we started with the relational side of things, and then that earned the right for me to be able to be instructional with him with things like grades, with his classes, with basketball, with other decisions that he's making. when he brings them up, and then I don't know that he's directly asked me very often, but the way he shares it, he wants my opinion. And so I'm able to be instructional with him because he trusts me now. And then we also have had all these experiences, things we've just gone and done. We've done just some fun stuff, but we've also done some very intentional experiences together. So those three areas, how do you approach those three areas in your relationship with your mentee is something to think about. And then the third thing is acknowledging areas of discomfort. Cultural differences in our organization are significant. And some of us, many of us are, very culturally different than our mentee. Gerald is a young black man from off the square here in Marietta. And I'm a 53-year-old white guy from Paulding County. So we have some pretty significant cultural differences in how we've grown up and what our experiences are and how we look at things. And in the beginning, that was very intimidating for me. I was scared to death about some of that stuff and not wanting to say the wrong thing and not wanting to be disrespectful and having questions. And come to find out, he felt the same way. So at some point, I finally just made the decision to appropriately and respectfully ask for clarity on issues that I just wasn't real sure about. And that allowed him to do the same. And now we have some really fun conversations about those things. So breaking that seal is important. And I know that's not easy, but I can say that it worked for us. So areas of discomfort, cultural differences, just being around teenagers in general gets more and more difficult every year for me. I don't know what it is, but becoming more comfortable in my skin around teenagers is something I've had to deliberately work on because I'm around him, his friends, when we do stuff. So that's a discomfort I've had to work on. And being creative is another discomfort for many of us. And this relationship kind of demands it. We feel the pressure to be creative in what we're doing with them, where we're taking them, what we're saying to them. And so asking for help, learning who around you can help you with that, both in the organization and out, is important, I think. Acknowledging that discomfort is very important. So cultural differences, being around teenagers, and being creative are three tough discomforts that we have. So addressing those things, what is my approach? How do I be relational, instructional, and experiential? And how do I approach these areas of discomfort are very important. Once we do that and we thought through that, the last thing I want to leave with you is we've talked about focusing more on you than the student. And I just want to encourage you that you came to this organization with strengths and experiences that you wanted to share. And those strengths and experiences are very important to your student. They don't know that probably, but they are. And so backing up and asking yourself, I know this sounds elementary, but what are my strengths? What are my personal and professional skills? What am I good at? And then how do I package that and show that and teach that in a way that they can receive at their age and where they're at? That's the biggest challenge in mentoring once you get past the relationship part, is how do I share what I'm good at with them and help them to become good at that as well? What skills can I pass on to them? The other thing is interests and hobbies. Some interests and hobbies carry over. Like Gerald loves to fish. So we've done all kinds of fishing together. He loves it. We've bonded over fishing. But Gerald is not going to sit down and tie fly fishing flies with me. That's just not his level of interest. So finding those areas within my interests where I can challenge him and show him, for him to see me doing something I enjoy, is important. So I would challenge you to think about that. What are your interests and hobbies? And also third, what are some previous experiences that you've had that you were surprised that you enjoyed it? Or maybe someone else you've seen has experienced something and they were surprised when they got there that they really did like it. Try that, challenge that, and see if you can find some new experiences for y'all to do together. So there are your strengths. One of your strengths is also your circle of influence, your professional contacts and people that you know, but also your personal. There are people in your life that would love to invest in this student. And it can help break walls down when you bring this student into those circles of influence that you have. It made such a difference in our world and in Gerald's life when he met several of my friends who were Marines, when he is strongly considering going into the armed forces. And we've had many, many conversations with these men about their experience in the military. And of course, he's thinking about the Navy, but they're not holding that against him. Their experiences have still been transferable. It's helped him so much to meet these guys. So who do you know? It doesn't have to be in a field they're interested in, just successful, interesting people. We want to get our students around them as much as possible, along with your family and your friends as much as you're comfortable. I know some situations are different. We respect that, but where it's appropriate, your family can be a big help in this mentoring relationship. Mine have been, I know for sure. So I just want to say thank you for serving Marietta Mentoring for Leadership and your student. We just cannot say enough how much we appreciate you and want to support you. And so if I can be of any help, please get in touch with me. Caitlin Joyner is our staff person at MFL now with mentoring support. She's there to support you. And now we have these support teams put together that want to help you and want to support you. But what can we do to help you? That's what we're asking, and we're definitely here for you. You're not alone. So thanks for listening, and I hope this helps, and we'll see you guys soon.